G'day and welcome back to the channel. So have you ever been doing something above your head, whether you're at the gym, you're at work, or you're doing things around the house, only to feel an unexpected sense of weakness or fatigue? Here's the thing. That sense of weakness or fatigue or loss of power may not just be about how strong you are through your shoulders. But interestingly, there could be a hidden cause of that weakness that you may not expect. My name's Grant Frost, and I'm an Australian musculoskeletal physiotherapist who had a patient come in earlier today with this exact concern. So in today's video, I want to delve into exactly what we found was the underlying root cause of that sudden sense of weakness and loss of strength, and also the simple thing that we did to help him resolve that, so that you can hopefully check this out for yourself and see if this applies to you. So let's get into it. So the story goes here is that I had a gentleman come in and see me earlier today, and he mentioned that for the best part of the last 15 years, he's been having trouble having his arms above his head for any longer than about 30 seconds before he gets this sudden increase in a sense of weakness and fatigue and loss of power. And this is obviously frustrating for him as a builder and someone who needed to work above his head consistently just to do his job. And like a lot of people, he'd seen a lot of different health professionals who each took a stab at trying to solve this problem for him without any unfortunately being too successful to this point. Interestingly, he mentioned that he had suffered some direct shoulder trauma to that shoulder years before he noticed that onset of weakness and loss of strength. And as anyone may do in that instance, he had logically connected the fact that his shoulder may not be perfect with that loss of strength. And as it turned out, each other professional that he had seen had also made that same connection. But what I see clinically with my patients, a loss of strength going overhead may not necessarily be a problem with your shoulder, but a problem with your neck and upper back. The idea here is that if you have unknowingly accrued a bunch of stiffness and restriction through the joints of your neck and your upper back, the nerves that exit those areas and supply the power and the strength and the function of your shoulder can become compromised in some way. The analogy that I like to use here is if you can imagine that you are using a hose to water the garden, and you've got that hose on full water pressure, but without you realizing it, somewhere along the course of that hose, you develop a small kink. Not necessarily a full kink where all the water pressure drops off, but in that overhead position, something somewhere just changes the water pressure or the neural signaling to inhibit the function of the tissue that is supplied by that area. And as with anything that I talk about my patients clinically or that we discuss here on the channel, we need to base everything that we do on results. So before we go exploring where this might be for you and what this might mean for you, the first thing that you need to do is find an activity or an exercise, whether that's grabbing a bag or a weight and lifting it above your head. Get into the position that you find reproduces that sense of weakness or loss of power. Take a mental picture of exactly how that feels. Then once we go through the exercise that we're about to go through, immediately come back and do the same thing again. This is what I did with my patient earlier today. And from when they started to when they finished, they felt at least a 50% improvement straight away in that sense of strength and power. So we need to see if this is the same thing for you. So once we've established that initial baseline of how it feels for you to go overhead, the next thing I'd like you to do is to grab a lacrosse ball or a tennis ball and go looking through the tissue at the base of your neck and the top of your upper back for clues as to what might be stiff, tight, restricted, or dysfunctional, and potentially shutting down the strength and power when you go above your head. And how we can do this is if you take that ball, and we can start where the big bump is at the base of your neck and the top of your back. Start with the ball right in the middle. Let the ball roll off to one side slightly so you're off the bump onto the fleshy bit. And we just want to get you to lie down on top of that ball. So I'll do this side just so you can see. But we go through this a lot on the channel because using a ball, I find, is one of the most specific ways to explore for things that do feel stiff and restricted. And it also doubles as a fantastic exercise to reduce some of that specific restriction. How I'd like you to do this is just roll onto that side a little bit. Take note of how this feels. Does it feel stiff? Does it feel tight? Does it feel restricted? Obviously we care whether it feels tender, but the symptom we're really looking for here is how restricted does it feel to let the ball press into this tissue. And one way to really understand that quite well is just to compare it to the exact same spot on the other side. And what you should find is that one side should feel like the ball sinks in easier and the other side should feel like it's a little bit harder or a little bit more dense. The side that feels the most dense and restricted is the side that we want to leave the ball in to respectfully let it press into the soft tissue, but also try and affect the joint mobility underneath. And as I mentioned, if there's any restrictions or dysfunctions in this area, this can be a very low-grade way to inhibit or to shut down or to put a kink in a hose that supplies the things that you need to do day to day. So once you spend a little bit of time here, maybe a minute or so, then just move the ball up a little bit or down a little bit and just systematically chase anything and everything that you feel is restricted. Spend enough time on each spot so you feel a sense of relief or release, and you feel your neck and upper back is a little bit looser than what it was before. And then as soon as you've done that, what it'll get you to do is immediately come back to that exact same position or that exact same activity that helps you understand how your symptoms feel. Improving that should see an immediate improvement in that power straight away. It may not be perfect straight away. It may take you a little bit of time to free up and remove and improve that subtle dysfunction that's there. But if you've done the right thing and you've done something meaningful, you deserve to see something feel better for it. We always need to base things on results, just that you don't have to trust me or you don't have to guess. We just want to care about the facts of what's going on. And so the really interesting thing about this conversation is if you find that your neck and upper back dysfunction is the hidden cause of feeling weakness going above your head, there has to be a reason for why that part of your neck has become dysfunctional in the first place. And if you are interested into what that might be, if you are a member of the channel, there'll be an extended version of this video where I'll dive into that broader explanation of why that might be there for you, just so that you can tie all this in together and understand how you got to that point where working above your head feels weak, so that it hopefully becomes clear what you need to do to reverse and resolve all of this for this to hopefully go away and stay away forever. So if you'd like a little bit more information on this, please consider becoming a member. Just like my patient earlier today, as soon as we found and freed up 2 stiff joints at the base of his neck, he felt that immediate improvement in his ability to be above his head without feeling that sense of weakness or fatigue creep in. He was excited because he'd been avoiding doing a lot of overhead work at the gym, and suddenly the possibilities of him getting back into that were very real. So if you find that that's also you, that upper back and neck dysfunction plays a strong role in those symptoms, it's very logical to assume that you can master this over time. But if we just think of shoulder weakness going above head as a shoulder problem, and we don't look a little bit more broadly to the switchboard, which is your spine, and your nervous system, which is the wiring, then we may never truly understand what's going on, but why it's there and what you may need to do to resolve this. So as always, let me know in the comments down below what you thought of that. Did you try it and found that hidden connection for you? Please consider leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel if you want more of this type of content from me. And of course, if you want to help support me and allow me to keep making these videos, please consider becoming a channel member for just a few dollars a month. You'll gain access to the extended cut of these videos and also more exclusive access to me directly. And obviously, if you are dealing with an issue and you would like my help, you're most welcome to consider booking in an online consultation with me. I'd love to help you figure out what's going on, but also why. But with that being said, thank you again for watching. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you next time.